Hi, my name is Marissa and this is Mkissa Creations. Mkissa Creations is a Flosstube channel where I talk about cross stitch and other crafts. Today we are going to talk about floss dyeing. This is a Flosstube extra. Thank you for joining me. In my last Flosstube video, I mentioned and showed that I had dyed some floss and that it is for a very specific project. So moving into plans for 2025, I thought I would share with you a little bit of my process and my reasoning and why I did this time and kind of how you can do it too, and give you some resources. So I was gifted a copy of Long Dog Sampler's Quinto Acuto, the pointed fifth, which is this pattern, if you are unfamiliar. Upon being gifted said pattern, I immediately looked it up, the title of it on Instagram, like as a hashtag. And I found Boomerang Stitches, Amity's version that she had completed. I'm going to post a picture of that here. Phenomenal, breathtaking, amazing. And she provided all of her flosses. So very easily could you recreate, well, not very easily. There's a lot of stitching to go with that. But you could recreate the color scheme that she created without a lot of labor on your end as far as choosing colors. She provides that for you. As far as the labor that's going to go into Quinto Acuto, that is entirely on you. It is a large pattern. It is 353 by 352, so pretty much a giant square of giant. In addition to being gifted the pattern, I was also gifted a large piece of gray fabric. This is 18 count. I don't know what it's called. I don't know who the dyer is. It has small amounts of green in it, along with the gray. And so, because I had the gray fabric and because I saw Amity's beautiful floss conversion of this pattern, I knew I wanted to do something a little bit different. If you look up this pattern on Instagram, you will see a lot of different ways that people have done this. She did a fade, so from light to dark and like rainbow across. There are people that have just done solid rainbow across. There are people that have put color in some of the arches in certain spots and then just left the rest. What I wanted to do was do a fade of a color. So I'm going to do from light to dark down the pattern. So like these will have the lightest version of the color inside, and then these down here will be the darkest, and these will be the second from the darkest. So I knew I wanted to do like an aqua or a turquoise, and I started looking through my DMC and I realized it was going to be a pretty big challenge to try to pick, even with a color card, to pick really the flosses that were truly like in the same family. It probably would have been easier than what I ended up doing in the long run, but I'm really happy with what I've done. I have a little bit of a variegation in my flosses, and so I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about that. So if you're interested, please stick around. I have a lot of footage of me dyeing floss, but that is like not all that exciting. I will put some of it in here so you can see what my process is, but I want to talk to you kind of about supplies first. So I have a cone of Blanc DMC, and so this is what my base was for all of my dyed flosses that I did. And these are my like dyeing pots, okay? And you'll see I've written no food on it. No food. You don't want to use anything that you use unless it's a natural dye. You don't want to use anything for food after using it. Granted, like, I'm especially using non-porous materials, so really, like, 3 trips through the dishwasher, maybe you could or feel comfortable with it, but like plastic stuff, or if you're going to use Tupperware to dye, you're going to want to mark it. My favorite thing to do, so as to not have to buy anything, is to go to the thrift store and pick up some stainless steel, and then I just label that, sorry, that was a big ding, with no food. This is a vintage pot that came from my grandma, but it already has some like scratches in the enamel, and so I wasn't going to use it for food any longer, but I like to keep it around the house. And then I also try not to use plastic in our kitchen anymore for like eating food, so that was easy for me to take these these measuring spoons out of the equation, and I just labeled them also as no food. So you don't want, you know, a well-meaning child or spouse to be like washing your dishes and then just throw everything back into your kitchen drawers. Like, you do want to label the stuff so that it doesn't have that. Okay, I'm gonna try really hard to not make any more noises with those. And then the next thing that I went and did was I went and downloaded Rit Dye's color formula guide. So I will link this on their site below, but this was super helpful. So I'm going to talk to you about what my process was. In here, there is a lot of information about using their dyes, but the majority of this packet, which is quite thick, let's see, it is 38 pages. The majority of it are these color formulas. So the way that I started was with the greens, and then I looked for the aqua slash teal slash color that I would like to start with. So you'll see I've marked these up. There's like some numbers on here. This was where I was kind of trying to do like a gauge on my own with these, where I was like, okay, well, if I can find 6 colors that sort of seem like they're in the same color family, then we'll go from there. So amongst the colors that I picked out, they only used 4 different dyes. So I went to Michael's and bought my 4 different dyes, and then came home. And so I started with, now I probably could have done this in a little bit more of an economical way, but when you're scaling down the recipes for these dyes, you're not using a ton. So like the teal, one of the teals that I tried is like, says 1.5 cups of teal and then 3/4 of a cup of Kelly green and 3/4 of a cup of aquamarine. Well, that is for dyeing in a 3-gallon tub. So I'm not dyeing in a 3-gallon tub to dye my little flosses. So they also give you this handy dandy conversion chart. So this was probably my next most used page, as you can see. And you scale it down. So this, it gives you a smaller measurement as 4 cups to a quart. I even at times went down and like halved that on my own. Which is, so like you saw that I only had teaspoons and like half, yeah, I have a 1/2 teaspoon, 1/8 of a teaspoon, and 1/4 of a teaspoon in my little like no food collection. Because all of the smallest number conversions, like for the littlest amount you need, are all teaspoons and fractions of teaspoons. So if you don't have a second set of teaspoons that you can like remove from your kitchen at this time, go to Goodwill or I would probably say like TJ Maxx and just grab a set that you wouldn't use in your kitchen. But always try Goodwill first, right? Always try our thrift store first, because we're already we're already over consuming. We don't need to over consume anymore, and you're not like that's what that stuff's for. Like people don't want it in their kitchen anymore. You don't know whatever it's been used for before. So using it for something that you're not going to use for food is like even, I don't know, that makes me feel even better. I don't mind I buy like casserole dishes and stuff from Goodwill all the time and use them for cooking after I've given them a thorough dishwasher cleaning. But anyways, so yeah, so they give you information on scaling a formula. So what I did was I started with 5 different colors that I thought that I would go with, and I dyed those 5 different colors. All right, so I started with one of the recipes that I wanted to use, and I did do like a little test, like tiny dip, as you can see, and then I just kind of went ahead and dyed, rinsed, and then added more water to dilute a little bit and started another color. Added a little bit more yellow. I was going back and forth between recipes and diluting them and just really trying to see what colors I could come up with, because this was my first round of dyeing, making sure that I, tried all of the different recipes that I really wanted to try, and then we went, like I said, I went from there. So here are 3 of those colors. And I dyed like I started with like a light version of them, right? I started like I halved the recipe in even from the smallest amount, or maybe even did like a quarter of those, like did like 1 cup and then did like a quarter of everything. And then the other 2 were my top contenders. So like these colors, while they are beautiful compared to the lighter versions of the other 2, I liked those better. So then what I did was I started scaling those colors, and I went really dark with really hot water, like almost boiling on the stove, and left it for 10 minutes to get my darkest color. And then I would add a cup of water and reduce the time a little bit. And then maybe add like a half a cup of water and do the same amount of time, or add a cup of water. So I kept experimenting back and forth. There was no like true set, like systematic formula dilution that I was using, which in the end may help, but I was just, like I said, this was an experiment. It turned out great. And if I was going to do this again, I probably would be a little bit more systematic about it, in what I was adding or taking away, and starting in, because like as you add more water, you have to get bigger. So like having the little pot was great when I wanted a really dark dye without having to use a lot of my dye up. So anyways, I still probably have a half a bottle of all these dyes left after all of these experiments. And yeah, it turned out, it was really fun to do. And I'm really happy with the results. So let me show you my 2 top contenders, and then I think I did make a decision. So I have my fabric here, which I wish it was a little bit truer, but we are having a gloomy, gloomy day. I have my big light on, and it's still, I don't think it's enough today. All right, let's see. Okay, so the hardest part is getting color variation in the middle of your range. And I think, let's see how these ones are. There we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is my second choice, though I may go back to it. These are from the color range, let's see, Arcadia is what it's called, is what their formula is called for that range. So I think this one actually, so I only have 7 in this range, or 6, I see. 1, 2, 3, or is it 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I have 6. So that would be exactly what I would need to do the light to dark. And these ones do appear to be pretty different from skein to skein. The other range is aquamarine. So very similar, but different. And I think, did I mix these up? Oh, these need to go around this way. There we go. Hold tight, please. Ah. So the what did I say? The Arcadia tends to not have as much variation in the skeins that I made. I made 15-meter skeins because I wanted to make sure that I was going to have enough floss. I will be stitching it with 1 strand, so it should be plenty. I hope. It's going to be hard to replicate some of them. I know the dark ones, the darkest one I will be able to replicate, and that's the one I have the least of, I think. So this one I have many more skeins. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But I think a couple of the colors are very close, like these 2 in the middle are really close, and then these 2 right here. So I probably will just count those as 1 if I use this. But so this is my other range. So like these 2 definitely turned out the same. These 2 turned out the same. This one's light. And I'm really happy with those as well. I'll show them to you next to each other so you can kind of see the difference, because they look, probably when I just holding them up like that, they look pretty much the same. I don't know if the light will catch their differences here or not, but we will give it a shot. I think probably they will. Yeah. So this one's a little bit more on the teal / green side, and then this one is much more of the like aquamarine color. I am going to stitch the outside of the sections in 37.99, and then I'm going to use one of these colorways to do the inside. Stepping back to the plans and the reason for all of this. But I am going to intersperse some dyeing of me dyeing in here, and please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. It is not hard. I'm going to show you how I made my skeins too, which was like very mishmash and like kind of just silly and stuff you have around the house. You don't need extra contraptions. You don't need a yarn swift. Like you can do all of this with stuff that you have around your house. It is not hard. To start off, I wanted to make sure I knew how many yards I was going to have in each of my skeins. So I found this shoebox that happened to be 38 inches around, which is a little bit over a yard and a little under a meter. Sorry, it was blurry. It didn't really pop up on there and let you see, but I tried to show you. And so once I had that measurement, I decided that probably about 15 meters should be a good amount for this project for what I needed it for. So I wrapped around the box 15 times and got myself a little 15-meter skein. In the end, I made 12 skeins. I'm not going to make you watch all of that. That would be a little excessive. So I sped up the process for you of making one skein and kind of showed you how I am tying them off at the end and making sure that they wouldn't get all tangled up once I got them in the pot. and the RIT like coloring book, the color formula guide, they give you so much information in here. They give you a lot of dyeing tips. They give you tips on how to get darker colors when you want darker colors. If you are dyeing synthetic fibers, they give you information on that. So, and you can always test your bath before dyeing. And then I highly recommend, if you are going to experiment, to grab a cone of DMC Blanc or B5200. I feel like either one would be fine, because you don't, while it's nice to have the DMC already skeined and buying like individual skeins, that is not going to be like financially fun. I mean, unless you have unlimited funds, in which it doesn't really matter. I always say like, oh, I can't imagine not like worrying about that sort of thing. But if there were like 3 more zeros on my paycheck, then I probably wouldn't worry about that sort of thing. But there are not 3 more zeros on my paycheck. So if I bought a bunch of like individual skeins of DMC and then was dyeing them, and then like I have these 3 that I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I mean, it's in my favorite color family, so I'll obviously find something to do with them at some point. But having this and just knowing like, oh, I made a mistake, or oh, I need to make more, I'll just roll off another skein of this, really made this project a lot more fun and less stressful, because I was just like, okay, now I have like a bunch of extra stuff, and I did like 2 colorways of a fade for a project, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. So again, if you have any questions, please let me know. Anything, I'm gonna link the RIT website down below. This is not sponsored by RIT. RIT does not sponsor me, although RIT, hi. I'm just kidding. I don't have enough followers for that kind of madness. But if I do post, if I do post links to any products, they may or may not be, what do you call them? Affiliate links. Just, you can find RIT on your own. You don't need my links for it, but I'm still going to post them down there for you just in case. And thank you for stopping by, and I will see you on Friday for another video. Hopefully, actually, I don't know what Friday is going to be, because I'm not due for a floss tube yet. So I think we'll have some fun. Maybe I'll do my, my 24 and 2024 catch-up video, and we'll see that. Thank you for joining me, and I will talk to you later. Bye.